All right, so Google just dropped Gemini 2.0 to Flash, and honestly, it might be the best bang for your buck AI model out there right now. I wrote many stories on Raji that it might not be needed anymore, and I saw people talking. Some got it, some didn't, and some got really concerned. So let's clear things up. What even is our age? Why might it not be needed in the way we used to think? And if you're building AI stuff or just curious, why should you care? What is RAG? Anyway, if you're new to the AI space, RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation. It's been a common technique used to help AI models like ChatGPT access external information that wasn't part of their original training data. You've probably seen it in action without realizing it. Ever used Perplexity or Bing's AI search? When they look things up while answering your question, that's RAG at work. Even when you upload files to ChatGPT and ask it questions about them, that's RAG too. The reason RAG became so important is because AI models used to have tiny memory windows. Back in early 2023, when models could only handle about 4,000 tokens, which is like 6 pages of text. That meant if you had a ton of information and the AI couldn't just remember everything, you had to break it up, store it in a special way, embeddings, vector databases, chunking, and then retrieve the right bits when needed. But now, forget that. This is how traditional RAG process flow looks like. Image by author, enter Gemini 2.0 Flash, the RAG killer. Yes, you heard it, RAG. All AI models today can process huge amounts of information at once. But Gemini 2.0, it can handle up to 1 million tokens. Some models are even hitting 2 million. That means instead of slicing your data into tiny little chunks and figuring out how to retrieve them now, you can just dump the whole thing into the model and let it reason over everything at once. And here's the kicker. These newer models don't just remember more, but they're also way more accurate. Google's latest models have the lowest hallucination rates, aka making stuff up we've ever seen. That alone makes a huge difference. Why this changes everything? Let's take a real world example. Let's say you have an earnings call transcript. It's 50,000 tokens long, which is huge. If you were using old school RAG, then you'd have to break it up into little 512 token chunks and store them. Then when someone asks a question and you try to grab the most relevant chunks and feed them into the AI. The problem? You can't reason across the whole document. Imagine asking, how does this company's revenue compare to last year? If you're just grabbing small text chunks, then you might not get a full picture. But if you feed the entire transcript into Gemini 2.0, it can look at everything from the CEO's intro to the numbers in the middle and to how they answer analyst questions and give you a way better and more thoughtful answer. So when I said RAG is dead, what I meant is the old way of doing RAG, breaking up single documents into chunks, is obsolete. You don't need it anymore. Just feed everything into a big model and let it work its magic. But wait, RAG isn't completely dead now. Some people asked, what if I have 100,000 documents? That's fair if you're dealing with huge data sets. Like all of Apple's earnings reports for the last decade, you still need a way to filter them down. But even here, the approach is different. Instead of breaking everything into tiny pieces, what I do now is search for relevant documents first, like pulling up only Apple's earnings calls from 2020, 2024. Feed the full documents into AI models separately in parallel, merge the responses and get a final answer. This approach is way more accurate than the old school chunking method. It lets the AI actually think across entire documents instead of forcing it to work with disjointed snippets. Below is a flowchart related to how modern approach works for large document sets. The big takeaway if you're building AI products or just experimenting, so keep it simple. A lot of people overcomplicate things when they don't need to. Just upload your full documents to Gemini 2.0's or any large context AI and let it handle the reasoning. Will things change again in a year? Probably. AI models are getting cheaper, smarter, and faster. But for now, the traditional way of doing RAG is done. Just throw your data into Google's new model and get better results with way less hassle. If you've got documents to analyze, give it a try. You might be surprised at how much easier everything just got. Peace!